Imagine holding a tiny coin in your hand. It's small, lightweight, and many people might not even bother picking it up from the ground. But what if I told you that this tiny coin carries a story about a nation, its heroes, and its economic journey? Today we are exploring the fascinating story of the Philippine 10 Centimo coin. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary coin from everyday circulation in the Philippines. But when collectors take a closer look, they discover something much more interesting. Because sometimes, the smallest coins hold the biggest stories. And in rare cases, they can even become valuable collector items. So today, we are going to uncover the history behind this coin, the hero featured on it, the design and hidden details, why collectors are starting to notice it, and whether this simple coin could ever become valuable. Let's begin the journey. The birth of the coin. The 2015 10 Centimo coin was issued by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the official central bank responsible for producing the country's currency. This coin is part of the new generation currency coin series, a series introduced to modernize the Philippine monetary system. For decades, the Philippines had different coin designs and series circulating at the same time. This created confusion. Some coins looked outdated, while others were hard to recognize. So the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas decided to redesign the coins. The goal was simple: create coins that were modern, secure, and easy to recognize. The result was the new generation coin series, which included several denominations. One of the smallest but most important coins in that series was the 10 Centimo coin. Although its value is small, it still plays a role in everyday transactions. And for collectors, its design and history make it interesting. The hero on the coin. On the front side of the coin, you will find the portrait of a famous Filipino hero. His name is Apolinario Mabini. Mabini is one of the most respected intellectual leaders in Philippine history. He was known as the brains of the revolution. Despite being paralyzed from the waist down due to illness, Mabini became one of the strongest voices for Philippine independence. He served as the first prime minister of the revolutionary government. He also advised the revolutionary leader Emilio Aguinaldo. Mabini believed deeply in freedom, justice, and national unity. His writings inspired many Filipinos during the struggle against colonial rule. Because of his contributions, his image was chosen to represent wisdom, intellect, and patriotism on the 10 Centimo coin. So every time someone holds this small coin, they are actually holding a tribute to one of the country's greatest thinkers. The coin design. Now let's look at the design details. The obverse side of the coin features the portrait of Apolinario Mabini, the inscription Republica ng Pilipinas, the year of minting. The reverse side of the coin displays the official seal of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. This seal represents the authority of the central bank and the stability of the nation's financial system. The coin is made from plated steel, which makes it durable and resistant to corrosion. Its small size makes it lightweight and easy to carry, but its design still carries symbolic meaning. Even the smallest denomination reflects the nation's identity. Why small coins matter? Some people might think coins like the 10 Centimo are not important anymore. After all, inflation has reduced the purchasing power of small denominations. In many places, people even ignore small coins. But coins like this still play an important role. They allow exact pricing. They help maintain the structure of the currency system. And most importantly, they preserve national heritage. Coins are like tiny pieces of history. Each one tells a story about the time it was created. That is why collectors all over the world search for coins that others overlook. Because sometimes, those forgotten coins become rare treasures. Collectors and hidden value. Coin collecting is one of the oldest hobbies in the world. Collectors often look for specific things: rare minting years, low production numbers, error coins, perfect condition coins. The 2015 10 Centimo coin was produced in large numbers, so most coins from this year are not extremely valuable. However, collectors are always searching for special varieties or mint errors. For example, coins with off-center designs, double strikes, metal errors, or unusual mint marks. When these rare mistakes occur during production, collectors become very interested, because error coins can become surprisingly valuable. Some modern coins that originally had almost no value have later sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So while the average 2015 10 Centimo coin may only be worth its face value, rare variations could attract attention from collectors. Condition is everything. Another factor that determines a coin's value is its condition. Coins are graded based on how well they have been preserved. Collectors use grading terms like good, fine, extremely fine, uncirculated. A coin that has never been used in circulation is called uncirculated. These coins still have their original shine and sharp details. Uncirculated coins are often much more desirable for collectors. So if someone happens to have a 2015 10 Centimo coin that has never been circulated, it could be more interesting to collectors than a worn coin. The future value of modern coins. Modern coins sometimes become valuable many years later. This happens when collectors begin searching for coins from a particular era. Sometimes coins become rare simply because most of them were lost, melted, or damaged over time. Other times, collectors suddenly discover an unusual minting variety. When that happens, prices can increase quickly. While the 2015 10 Centimo coin is still relatively common today, the future of coin collecting is unpredictable. What seems ordinary today could become desirable tomorrow. That is why collectors often keep coins from different years, because you never know which one might become rare. The cultural importance of Philippine coins. Coins in the Philippines often feature important historical figures. These figures remind citizens of their national identity and struggle for independence. By placing heroes like Apolinario Mabini on coins, the country ensures that history remains visible in everyday life. Every time a coin changes hands, it carries a story from the past. This connection between currency and culture makes coins more than just money. They become symbols of national pride. Could this coin become rare? This is one of the most common questions collectors ask. Could the 2015 10 Centimo coin ever become rare? The answer is possibly. But rarity depends on several factors. How many coins were minted? How many survived in good condition? Whether collectors start demanding them. If one day collectors begin focusing on the early new generation coin series, coins like the 2015 10 Centimo might become more desirable. But for now, its real value lies in its story and historical meaning. Final thoughts. The Philippine 10 Centimo coin may be one of the smallest coins in circulation, but behind its simple design lies a powerful story. A story about national heroes, a story about economic change, and a story about how even the smallest objects can hold deep historical meaning. So the next time you see a tiny coin on the ground, don't ignore it. Take a closer look, because sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest stories. And who knows, you might even be looking coin could be worth far more than its face value. Yes, today we are talking about a coin that many people have seen, but very few truly understand. The 1982 Philippines 10 Centimo coin, featuring the legendary Filipino poet Francisco Baltazar, is more than just currency. It's history, it's culture, and for collectors, it could be a hidden treasure. So in today's video, we are going deep into the history behind this coin, who Francisco Baltazar really was, rare features that increase its value, and how much it might actually be worth today. Let's begin. Underscore 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 underscore. The 1982 10 Centimo coin was issued in the Philippines under the authority of Banco Central in Pilipinas. This coin was part of a series used in everyday transactions during the late 20th century. Key features: a denomination, 10 centimo, a year, 1982, a material, copper nickel, a shape, round, a color, silver tone, obverse design, and the front side. You'll see the portrait of Francisco Baltazar, one of the greatest Filipino poets. A reverse design. The reverse side displays the official seal of the Banco Central in Pilipinas, along with the country name. At first glance, it may look like just another coin, but its story goes much deeper. To truly understand the value of this coin, we need to understand the man on it. Francisco Baltazar, also known as Balagtas, was a legendary Filipino poet born in 1788. He is best known for his masterpiece, Rarity at Laura. This literary work is considered one of the greatest contributions to Filipino literature. Why is he important? He shaped Filipino poetry, promoted national identity, inspired generations of writers. So when his face appears on a coin, it's not just decoration, it's a tribute to Filipino heritage. Underscore 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 underscore. Section 3. Historical. Context of 1982, 5 to 7 o'clock. The early 1980s. In the Philippines were a time of political and economic change. Coins like the 1982 Centimo were widely circulated and used in everyday life. Back then, a 10 centimo had real purchasing power, or it could buy small goods or contribute to daily expenses. Today, however, these coins are rarely used, and that's exactly why collectors are paying attention. Now comes the big question. Is this coin valuable? The answer is, it depends. Regular value. A common 1982 10 centimo coin is usually worth a few cents to a few dollars, depending on condition. Rare and high-value cases. Some versions can be worth much more if they have a mint errors, a uncirculated condition, UNC, a proof-like finish, a unique markings. Collectors are always searching for rare variations, and sometimes a simple coin turns into a collector's dream. Let's break down what actually makes this coin valuable. Condition, most important. A poor condition, very low value. A fine condition, slightly higher. A uncirculated, UNC much higher. Mint errors. Look for a misaligned designs. A double stamping. Off-center strikes. These errors can significantly increase value. Collector demand. Coins featuring historical figures like Francisco Baltazar are always in demand. If you have this coin at home, here's what you should do. Step 1. Inspect the surface. Check for scratches, wear, and shine. Step 2. Look at the details. Is the text clear? Is the portrait sharp? Step 3. Check the year. Make sure it says 1982. Step 4. Search for errors. Use a magnifying glass to find unusual features. Coin collecting is a global hobby, and Philippine coins are gaining popularity among local collectors, international numismatists. The 1982 10 centimo coin is part of a broader historical set, which makes it more appealing to collectors. With rising interest comes risk. Some people try to sell fake or altered coins. Warning signs are unusual weight, incorrect color, blurry details. Always compare your coin with verified images or consult an expert. Let's be real. Not every 1982 10 centimo coin is worth millions. But a rare version in perfect condition? That could definitely be worth a surprising amount. And the best part? Many people already have these coins, without even realizing their potential. So next time you see an old coin lying around, don't ignore it, because hidden in your collection might be a piece of history, or even a hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this video, a like or a comment, and subscribe for more amazing coin discoveries. And tell me in the comments, do you have this coin? Check your interesting coin from the Philippines. The 1972 Sampung Centimo coin featuring Francisco Baltazar. At first glance, this small coin might look ordinary. Many people have probably used it in daily transactions decades ago without realizing its historical importance. But collectors around the world know that coins like this can carry incredible stories of culture, national pride, and sometimes even surprising value. So in this video, we will discover The history of the 1972 Centimo Coin. Who Francisco Baltazar was. The design and features of the coin. Rare versions that collectors look for. And the possible value of this coin today. Make sure you watch until the end because some versions of this coin could be worth far more than their original face value. Let's begin our journey into the fascinating world of Philippine coins. The Centimo, which means 10 centavos, was once an important part of everyday currency in the Philippines. During the 1960s and 1970s, the country was modernizing its monetary system. The Central Bank of the Philippines introduced a new series of coins called the Ang Bagong Lipunan series, meaning the new society. These coins were issued during the early years of President Ferdinand Marcos's administration and were designed to highlight Filipino heroes, artists, and national figures. One of those important figures was Francisco Baltazar, a legendary Filipino poet whose work influenced Philippine literature. The 10 centimo coin released in 1972 proudly carried his image. At the time, this coin had real buying power. People could use it for transportation, snacks, or small purchases. Today, however, these coins are no longer commonly used in circulation. Instead, many of them have become collectible pieces that tell the story of Philippine heritage. To understand the importance of this coin, we must first know the man featured on it. Francisco Baltazar, also known as Francisco Balagtas, was one of the greatest poets in Philippine history. He was born in 1788 in Bulacan, Philippines. Baltazar became famous for writing the epic poem Florante at Laura. This masterpiece is considered one of the most important works in Filipino literature. It tells a dramatic story of love, betrayal, courage, and justice. But beyond the story itself, the poem carried deeper messages about freedom and resistance during the Spanish colonial period. Baltazar wrote his works in the Tagalog language, which helped preserve Filipino identity and culture. Because of his influence on literature and language, the Philippines honored him by placing his portrait on the 10 centimo coin. This recognition shows how deeply respected he is in Filipino culture. Now let's take a closer look at the coin itself. The 1972 centimo coin has a simple but elegant design. On the front side, obverse, of the coin, you will see the portrait of Francisco Baltazar. Next to his image, the inscription reads, Republica ng Pilipinas. This means Republic of the Philippines. Below the portrait is the year 1972, indicating when the coin was minted. On the reverse side, the coin features the official seal of the Central Bank of the Philippines. Surrounding the seal are the words, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. This represents the authority responsible for issuing the country's currency. The coin was made using brass or copper-nickel alloy, giving it a golden or bronze tone. Typical specifications include diameter, around 18 millimeters, weight, approximately 2 grams, shape, round. Because of its size, it was small but durable enough for everyday use. Many coin collectors are interested in the 1972 Centimo coin for several reasons. First, it represents a key period in Philippine monetary history. Second, it honors a legendary literary figure. Third, coins from the 1970s are becoming harder to find in excellent condition. Most coins from that era were heavily used in daily circulation. As a result, many surviving pieces show scratches, fading, or worn details. Collectors especially look for coins that are uncirculated condition, sharp details, original shine. Coins that meet these criteria are much rarer. Another interesting factor is mint errors. Sometimes coins are struck incorrectly during production. These errors can make a coin significantly more valuable. Examples include double strikes, off-center designs, misprints or unusual textures. Collectors love error coins because they are unique. Now comes the question everyone is curious about. How much is the 1972 Centimo coin worth today? The truth is that value depends on several factors. Condition of the coin, rarity, collector demand. A normal circulated coin might only be worth a small amount, often between a few cents to a few dollars in collector markets. However, coins in mint condition can be worth more. Rare versions or error coins may attract higher prices from collectors. Some online listings show prices ranging from $5 to $50 or more, depending on quality and rarity. But remember, not every coin will reach high prices. Professional coin grading services can help determine the true value of a collectible coin. If you have a 1972 Centimo coin, here are some things you should check. First, examine the condition. Look for clear details on the portrait of Francisco Baltazar. If the design is sharp and the surface is shiny, the coin might be in better condition. Second, inspect the coin for errors. Check if the design is perfectly centered. Look for unusual marks, doubled letters, or strange shapes. Third, compare your coin with examples online or in coin catalogs. Collectors often use reference books or websites to identify rare varieties. If you believe your coin might be valuable, consider showing it to a professional coin dealer or numismatist. Here are some interesting facts about Philippine coins. The Philippines has issued many different coin series throughout history, reflecting changes in government and national identity. Some older coins feature national heroes, while others highlight plants, animals, or cultural symbols. Because of this variety, Philippine coins are popular among collectors worldwide. The Centimo series is just one example of how small coins can carry big historical stories. So there you have it, the story behind the 1972 Philippine Centimo coin featuring Francisco Baltazar. What once was a small everyday coin now serves as a reminder of Filipino culture, literature, and history. Who knows? If you happen to find one of these coins in your collection, it might be worth more than you think. If you enjoyed this video and love learning about rare coins from around the world, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next discovery. And tell me in the comments, do you own a small brass coin quietly entered circulation? It wasn't made of gold or silver. It didn't commemorate a grand war or a president. Yet, this modest coin carried something far more powerful: culture, language, and the enduring voice of a poet. Today, we explore the fascinating history of the 1970 Philippines 10 centimos coin featuring the legendary Filipino poet Francisco Balagtas, also known as Francisco Baltazar, the Prince of Tagalog poets. This is not just the story of a coin. This is the story of Filipino identity engraved in metal. To understand this coin, we must first travel back to 1970. The Philippines was under the leadership of Ferdinand Marcos, who was serving his second term as president. The country was experiencing economic challenges, political unrest, and growing activism among students and workers. Just 2 years later, martial law would be declared in 1972. But in 1967, something important had already happened in Philippine coinage history. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, then operating as the Central Bank of the Philippines, introduced a new coin series known as the Filipino series. For the first time, Philippine coins prominently featured Filipino national heroes rather than American symbols or colonial designs. It was a powerful shift. Coins became tools of national pride. The 10 centimos coin was part of the Filipino series, introduced in 1967, and continued into the early 1970s. This series replaced earlier designs that bore English inscriptions. Instead, coins now used Filipino language, Republika ng Pilipinas. It was more than a linguistic change. It was symbolic. After centuries of Spanish colonization and decades of American rule, the Philippines was asserting its cultural independence. And who better to represent Filipino literary identity than Francisco Balagtas? Born in 1788 in Bulacan, Francisco Balagtas became one of the greatest literary figures in Philippine history. His most famous work, Florante at Laura, written in 1838, is considered a masterpiece of Filipino literature. At first glance, Florante at Laura appears to be a romantic epic set in Albania, but beneath its poetic verses lies a deep political allegory criticizing Spanish colonial abuses. Balagtas used metaphor and symbolism to express resistance during a time when direct criticism could lead to imprisonment. And in fact, he himself experienced imprisonment. His poetry spoke of injustice, love, sacrifice, and patriotism. By placing Balagtas on the 10 centimos coin, the Philippines honored not just a writer, but a voice of resistance. Now let's examine the coin itself. Obverse, front. A portrait of Francisco Balagtas facing left. Air inscription, Republica in Pilipinas. A year, 1970. The portrait captures Balagtas with classical features. Dignified and calm, representing wisdom and intellectual strength. Reverse, back. The denomination, 10 centimos. The official seal of the Central Bank of the Philippines. Inscription referencing the Banco Central. The design was clean, simple, and purposeful. Unlike commemorative coins filled with elaborate imagery, this coin embraced clarity and national symbolism. For coin collectors and numismatists, the technical details are equally fascinating. The 1970 10 centimos coin typically features a composition, brass, copper zinc alloy. A weight, approximately 2 grams. A diameter, around 18.5 millimeters. A shape, round. Edge, plain. Its golden brass appearance made it stand out among lower denominations. However, despite its shine, it was a low-value circulation coin, used daily by ordinary Filipinos. Imagine buying candy, jeepney fare, or small groceries with this very coin. History passed from hand to hand. One of the most powerful aspects of this coin series was the use of the word Filipino. Language is identity. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, there was a strong movement to promote Filipino as the national language. Featuring Francisco Balagtas reinforced the importance of Tagalog literature and indigenous expression. Balagtas didn't write in Spanish. He wrote in Tagalog, the language of the people. And now, nearly 200 years later, his image was circulating across markets, streets, and provinces. A poet once imprisoned by colonial power was now immortalized by a free republic. That is poetic justice in metal form. 1970 was not a calm year. It marked the beginning of the first quarter storm. A period of student-led protests against corruption and inequality under Marcos's administration. Young Filipinos were demanding reform. Interestingly, the image of Balagtas, a literary critic of oppression, circulated during a time when freedom of expression would soon be challenged. By 1972, martial law would reshape the nation. And yet the coin remained. Silent, unchanging, a reminder of literary resistance. The 1970 10 centimos coin was minted in large quantities for circulation. Millions were produced to meet economic needs. Unlike commemorative issues, this was everyday money. Because of high mintages, the coin is generally common today. However, finding high-grade uncirculated examples can be more challenging. Over time, brass coins tend to darken, develop spots, or show wear. Collectors often look for a sharp portrait details, and minimal scratches, original luster. Proof versions are rare and highly valued. Now let's talk about modern value. Because the 1970 10 centimos coin was widely circulated, its market value today is generally modest. In circulated condition, it may sell for a small premium above face value, often between $1 to $5 depending on condition. Uncirculated examples may fetch higher prices. Proof coins, if authenticated, can be significantly more valuable. But here's the real treasure. Historical meaning. This coin represents a Philippine nationalism, a literary heritage, a pre-martial law era history, and the Filipino coin series transition. For collectors building a full Filipino series set, the 1970 Balagtas 10 centimos is essential. The 10 centimos featuring Balagtas stood alongside other denominations in the Filipino series. Each denomination honored a different Filipino hero. This created a pocket-sized hall of fame. Instead of foreign rulers, Filipinos carried their own heroes. This shift marked a deeper psychological independence. Money became storytelling. Francisco Balagtas remains relevant in modern Filipino education. Florante at Laura is still taught in schools. His poetry continues to inspire writers, activists, and artists. When you hold the 1970 10 centimos coin, you hold a 19th century resistance literature, a 20th century political tension, a 21st century numismatic interest. Few coins carry such layered history. There are minor variations depending on mint condition and strike quality. Collectors examine a die alignment, edge sharpness, a surface toning, While not extremely rare, high-grade specimens can be harder to find due to circulation wear. Coins stored improperly may show corrosion. Original mint luster examples are more desirable. Eventually, inflation reduced the purchasing power of the Centimo's denominations. Over time, lower-value coins became less practical. New coin series replaced the Filipino series in later decades. But the legacy of the Balagtas 10 centimos remains. It represents a specific chapter in Philippine history, before martial law, during linguistic nationalism, and amid rising political activism. It's easy to overlook small coins, but history hides in everyday objects. This 10 centimos coin teaches us that culture matters, that literature matters, that language matters. A poet who once wrote against injustice was honored by a republic seeking its identity, and his image traveled across an entire nation. When you look at the 1970 Philippines 10 centimos coin featuring Francisco Balagtas, you see more than brass. You see a young republic defining itself, a literary giant immortalized, a nation balancing hope and uncertainty. Coins are more than currency. They are witnesses. They survive long after speeches fade and leaders change. And sometimes, the smallest coins carry the strongest voices. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of the 1970 Philippines 10 centimos coin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Tell us, do you own this coin?